this.
And right up next to it, iMovie stuff, you have
Alright, we're going. Okay, so thank you guys for coming out for the nutrition holiday weight gain class. Okay, it's avoiding holiday weight gain, but this year it has a lot of added importance because every single one of these factors in here don't just that contribute to holiday weight gain, and some of those things also can affect your immune system. Okay, all these things that we're going to go into do it. And one thing I really want to emphasize is that holiday weight gain is more than just eating more food and a few holiday parties that might come up for a lot of us, you know, or even all the treats that you get bombarded with from coworkers and family and all that stuff. You know, obviously there's some statistic out there that the average person puts on something like 12 pounds of fat between Thanksgiving and New Year's, or between like November and February, or whatever, or November and January. That's just the way it is. Thanksgiving and New Year's Day, that's kind of like the worst part for a lot of people, because a lot of people get a little more serious at New Year's. You know, a lot of times we don't know where that's going to be right now because of the people lock things down, and the stress of all this stuff could last longer, you know. And we all know that it's hard to make some of these good food choices when, you know, you got coworkers, you got friends, family that make you stuff because they want to make you happy. You know, your nice neighbor makes you a whole big old pie or something and brings that over, or you know, aunt somebody brings you something, a bunch of cookies. You know, the coworker, like you were talking about working last year and having people always bring you stuff. We all like that, and everybody likes it. She brought me some treats tonight, so.
junk food for the healthy food class.
Yeah, healthy food, some gluten-free, like low-carb bread and some cassava flour chips that I'm gonna probably jump into. But that's not the problem. That's not in and of itself the problem. There's a lot of other things that go into it. But one thing we want to emphasize is you're in control of what you put in your mouth. Okay, it doesn't matter what somebody puts in there. You know, that no one else has that control over you. Even if they bring it to you, you know, sometimes it's something that you want to take, but sometimes you just say, hey, I can't eat that. You know, people have done that. But it's not just that. It's not just all those things. You guys have heard this statistic from me a million times in here, that exercise is 10% of a fitness or weight body composition thing. Diet is 80% of it, and sleep and stress are the other 10%. In some ratio. It can be those ratios are not set in stone, but they also they are pretty roughly accurate in my opinion. Today we're focused mostly on the way that stress and sleep affect the other ones. Okay, that's the main thing. And this also, you could just go ahead and put, instead of weight gain on here, you could just put on a compromised, you know, immune system, things that help your immune system as well. Okay, you could just put that on there as well, because added stress, lack of sleep, all these other factors that we're going to go into have to do with a healthy immune system as well, and can make your immune system a little weaker than it should be. So first of all, we're going to go into poor sleep. Lack of sleep and poor sleep, what we're going to call sleep hygiene, which means sleep hygiene means like basically cleaning up your sleeping area and making your sleep environment as clean as possible. Not just from germs, but like clean as far as from lights and noises, and you know, a temperature that's going to be good to sleep in, and all the other kind of things that can disrupt your sleep throughout the night. So that's when I say sleep hygiene, that's what we're talking about, cleaning up the sleeping environment. This is a problem for people all this time of year, but it's especially problematic for those of you guys, for those of us in climates that see significantly less sunlight during winter months, okay? It's, you know, I mean, it's dark out there at what, 5:30, 6 o'clock now, and biologically, we should be in bed 4 hours after sunset, and that just doesn't happen for most people. You say you go to bed at 9 o'clock. So you're the person that's involved that does that. I'm telling you right now, I'm not.
Yeah, but when it's light too, we're in bed.
Okay, and so that's a thing that's big time, and we're in a place where, and a lot of us work in a 24-hour world. I mean, I know a lot of people have worked. I've worked night jobs before. You know, and you're messed up, but you know, we got a lot of people that do that, or, you know, you have to get up at an ungodly hour in the morning to get to work or whatever. So that's a big thing. Deep sleep cycles stimulate growth hormone, and repeated nights of poor sleep can also compromise your insulin and leptin sensitivity and elevate cortisol levels. Okay, that's a class that I've done before in the past. We've done it on healthy hormones. I think you were at it before. Well, on the way that those hormones tie into those things. So some of these classes kind of link together, but all those things kind of link in there. In a place that you in constantly stress condition, and it interferes with your blood sugar levels. This contributes to poor food choices and makes your body fat storage, your body's like kind of default setting at that point. Compromise, losing sleep for several nights in a row can automatically cause your blood sugar to be higher and cause you to have poorer insulin, less insulin sensitivity. Just a few nights of it really bad can do that. And that's why you see people with shift workers, you know, you'll notice that they have just terrible outcome because their blood sugar is just all kinds of messed up. And this is one thing that contributes to poor food choices and makes poor food choices. If you'll notice, you know, if you ever keep a food log, which I recommend people do if they do that, if you get a really horrible night of sleep or something, it's way harder to resist junk food the next day and all the really sugary, carby stuff. You know, people that work night shift or whatever, they will gravitate towards junk like as they a lot more readily because their sleep schedule's always messed up. You know, and if you really want to look at where that rubber hits the road there and is like the worst absolute storm for that is people who work on like a night shift or a 24-hour shift, like Stacy, paramedic. She's working 24-hour shifts. Firemen, paramedics, nurses, you know, ER staff, all that. They're working clear at night, and you go in there, and you know, I've worked with a lot of nurses, and they're always like, yeah, we always got junk food around. And it's the stress for you got a stressful job, you got poor sleep, and it's just like a perfect storm for all those things to deal with that. Maybe that's where the cops and the donut thing came from, right?
Yeah.
But
24-hour fast food.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but that's the thing that comes into that goes into all that. It has to do with that. But you got to understand that we're all kind of get the steady drip of that same sort of lack of sleep, and that's some of the factors that we're going to go into here. There's we all have that thing now, right? With bad sleep, and we can be inundated with blue light at times when it's not optimal for us. Okay. So some of the tips here to optimize your sleep, and I'll get into a little bit more on some of those topics as we do this. Is one is sleep in a completely dark, cool room. Okay. Cooler, little. You need a blanket, you're gonna something over you, or it's gonna be too cold in there. I'm like one of the people that likes a warm bedroom, and I like things But I know that I get a little bit too warm, because sometimes I'll wake up and be, you know, like throwing the covers off me and stuff in the middle of the night, and that doesn't help your sleep patterns at all. You know, I'm not to the point where I want it like ice cold in there, because that's kind of miserable to me as well. But and when I say a cool dark room, I mean a really dark room. And it's hard to do because we got, you know, you got your phone on a charger over there, turn that off. You got, you know, if you got a computer near in the bed, an iPad, you have a little light on there. All those things are enough to cause that little bit of light on you, or that you're exposed to at night, contributes to a poor sleep cycle. Now we talked about we all know what melatonin is, right? It's a sleep aid. It's a naturally occurring hormone that is stimulated by being in dark light. So right now with these lights on, we're basically doing the opposite of that. But as the light gets down, your body naturally stimulates melatonin release. And one of the counter hormone to that is gonna be cortisol, right? And that blue light stimulates that, okay? So when you're trying to get your good dark nighttime sleep and you got a blue light or some kind of green light or blue light source or something like that, or you got a TV in the bedroom that has a light on it, or an alarm clock or a fire alarm, something we just noticed because we just changed some blinds in there that are a lot more dark in there, that there's a fire alarm up in there, or a fire smoke detector up in there, that now you can see a little green light on the floor that I never noticed before. So go around and really tape all those things up. You know, if there's a street light or something like that, put something black over it so it's actually pitch black in there. And one thing, a way to, if you ever wonder about this, about the amount of that differences, you notice when you go camping, or you go camp out at night, or you go out there and all of a sudden you're out there and there's nothing but a firelight. You're in the campfire light, and there's no street lights, no TV, hopefully no TV, if you could bring all that stuff with you nowadays. You know, there's none of those things, and all of a sudden you're sitting there and it's dark and everyone's like, oh man, it's really late, and you look at the clock and it's like 9 o'clock and you're all ready to go to bed. You think it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, it's only like 9. You know how that works? I mean, that's the way we're supposed to work without that, because you're not getting all that auxiliary light coming from things. So really sanitize that area. Go around and really do that. You'll find it does make a difference. And I don't have anybody in here who's working a shift work or nights or anything like that right now, but that goes without saying. That's a lot more of a task for somebody that's doing that. Avoid screen time and bright light prior to bed. Okay, this interferes with your dim light melatonin onset. Okay, and your melatonin and your growth hormone are closely related. Growth hormone helps you regenerate tissue, helps your brain and all that stuff, all the chemicals in your brain, like your serotonin reset and all that kind of stuff. It helps to make all that, make your brain work sharper. You know, screen time is huge, and I'll go into more of that when we talk about Netflix here in a second. You want to get exposure to blue light in the morning and daytime, but you want to absolutely avoid having blue light around at night, and it's a real tall order. And do the best you can. It's almost impossible in today's society. I mean, as much as I'd like to say it, unless you really go take this really seriously, it's hard to do it. But do the best you can, and just start to make steps that might really help that. Now, I put this thing about installing Flux. It's a program that you can get on a computer or iPad. Do you have it?
No, on your iPhones,
Yeah.
sleep mode where you turn it on and it automatically
Yeah, probably something like that on phones. They keep coming out with new ones that automatically do that. It's important to have that, like, blue light's measured in a unit called lux, right? LUX. And if I go out for example, at a time when I should be biologically awake and sharp and operating optimally, it's pretty high tech. Functioning optimally. If I go out there at noon when the sun's right over the top of us and it's on there and it's a sunny day, I'm looking at about 5,500 lux. Okay, that's about what the scale is on that. Conversely, like a candle light, if we were to light a room with candle, there's no other thing, and just a couple of candles in there, that's gonna be about 1,600 lux. We can go to sleep with that, right? You can go out if you're camping, you got a campfire, you can go to sleep pretty easy around a campfire, especially as it dies down, it's like that. Now, just keep in mind that 5,500 thing out there, an iPad screen is like 6,500 lux. So if you're up at 10, 11, midnight, whatever, looking at an iPad screen, for an example, or a computer screen, you're getting more blue light than you would being out in the sun, in your face at a time when you should be sleeping. Your body doesn't know what to do to deal with that. And it's stimulating cortisol instead of that. And your body responds to cortisol, or responds to blue light and that light, whether or not you're actually even looking at it. So, like when we talk about really sanitizing the room and stuff like that, even if you put something like that, they've done studies where they've taken someone sleeping and measured their hormone levels by just shining a blue light or something on their skin, and like on their leg when they were completely shut up, and it actually puts a cortisol response, even though it's not even getting in their eyes.
I read the same study where they put it right behind the kneecap,
Yeah.
where you can't see it purposely, and
Yep.
it's just a little
Mhm.
light.
Yeah, it's the same one. Same one, yeah. And it would mess with their sleep schedule right there. So I have those on my computer and I set those things down because, let's face it, not too many of us are really gonna be so disciplined that we never look at a computer screen after dark. I wish I was, but I'm not. As a matter of fact, if I have trouble sleeping, one of my go-to methods of putting myself to sleep, and I use F-Lux, and I put a computer screen down on the very lowest setting, and I'll have that at the very darkest setting, which is like 1,600, you can barely see it, and I'll put some headphones on and I'll pull up like a YouTube video, not something that's gonna stir up a bunch of, I'm not saying, don't watch some killer show or something like that, but I'll put something on there like a hobby show, like I'll put like a guy working on a car or something, or how to fix something on this, or like knife sharpening or axe sharpening or something that I never would do, and I'll be asleep in 10 minutes. I won't even be able to get through a whole deal like that, but and I'm asleep like instantly. My brain shuts off and I'm out. For some reason, that's like a thing that works really well for me, and as long as I keep that screen down as low. It doesn't work if you get into something that's really stimulating, like you sit there and you don't go binge on some real suspenseful Netflix series. That's not gonna help you get to sleep. Wear blue blocker glasses. There's a lot of those things that are coming out nowadays, but blue blockers, those glasses that you can wear, they used to make those ones that was the infomercial one. It's funny, those things, but they really work. And I don't have a pair of them, but I have a pair of amber colored glasses. I haven't been pulling them out lately, but I knew a guy who actually, when I did first doing this class, he started doing that, and all of a sudden he couldn't even make it, sort of wearing those as soon as the sun went down, and he couldn't even make it to the news at night. He would just fall asleep all the time.